You are listening to the ESEE Rat Pack Podcast. I'm your host, Shane Adams, along with my partner in crime, Patrick Rollins, is here with us today. And what are we talking about, Patrick?
Shane, what happened to our social media accounts?
Well, to borrow your immortal words, I broke them. Somewhere here is our famous SE3 signed by Patrick Rollins, who broke it. But unlike Patrick, who did not fix the SE3, I did finally fix it. And it's kind of an interesting story. I still don't have, we're going to cover kind of what happened in all this, but more importantly, how we got it back together. And this is us telling you that our SE Knives Instagram account is officially back up, and we also have access to it, which it's been up for a little more than a month, but I haven't had access to it.
Well, that's good. My first question, which I'm sure a lot of people have asked you, what'd you do? What'd you do to cause
What did I do? I wish I knew, to be really honest with you. Since my time here at ESEE, this past February made 5 years, I've always been very sensitive with our content, very cautious, whether it be hunting or animal processing or anything. I've always been very, very careful. We've never had a reported post. We've never had even a blurred screen post that you see is so prevalent now. We've never had an infraction of any kind. What I can tell you is we were training up in Haywood County with our band of brothers up there, Haywood County Search and Rescue, Hendersonville, all those guys. We're doing some training, staying in a hotel in Canton, and we'd been out training that day. And as I'm used to, I came back to the hotel that night. We'd been out training, no cell phone service, so I had a bunch of messages. I start working on messages, and something that has happened to us prior to my arrival here, and it's kind of stuck in my brain, is that anytime a new social media platform comes out, we have to be first, at least to plant a flag in that. So before I got here, we had lost access to our original Instagram account. There's a Randall's Adventure account that we don't have access to. It took me almost 4 months to get access just to our ESEE Knives account with Instagram, and that was with a man on the inside. We had a buddy that worked at that helped us tremendously as far as we had to send him articles of incorporation, all that good stuff, just to get access to our accounts.
How many followers were on that when you started it back up?
I think I took over... I got here in February. It was June or July before I got access to it. I know we had about 7,200 followers, and we hadn't done a post in about 18 months. And as soon as we started posting, I mean, we were gaining 1,000.
Oh yeah, it took off.
Yeah, and we've never been able to, like, that's all organic. We could never really. We couldn't pay to advertise. We can't do that on Facebook. We can't do it anywhere. But to circle back around to that point is that ESEE Knives on Twitter is not us. Like, we don't have access to that account.
Is it active?
No, I'm not active on Twitter.
No,
I haven't.
Is anybody?
No.
Okay.
No, and that person, I've contacted that person. They'd sell it to us. And so we're like, no. So we have a Knives_SE on Twitter that never gets used. And so on Parler, on Vero, on MeWe, I've always made sure to go in there and to make sure I secure our name, and maybe sometimes multiple names, whether it be ESEE Knives and Randall's Adventure or whatever like that, just so we plant a flag at it so that can't happen again. We keep hoping that something will take off that will be a little more friendly to our audience, but so far that hasn't happened. But we have to secure that, because there are people that speculate on digital real estate, more or less. So sitting in Canton, I remembered, and literally just like a thought, I was like, I better go ahead and get signed up for Truth Social, which is what we all know is Trump's platform. It has nothing to do with Trump. It has nothing to do with his platform. It has everything to do with, if something were to take off and we were not to have our name, then that's problematic. And so I hopped on using my Shane at ESEEKnives.com email address, as I've done with everything. I signed up for it, and 24 hours and 3 minutes later, every account attributed
To the email.
to my email, which is my personal accounts and also the professional accounts, were blocked. So that meant my personal Facebook, which I'd been a member of since early 2008. Same with Instagram, early adopter. My personal Instagram was blocked. Our company Facebook page was blocked. I was removed as admin. We lost our page. And then obviously our Instagram account, which at that point had 109,000 followers. We have a love-hate relationship with social media, but honestly, Instagram, that one kind of hurt us because I love to dabble in taking pictures and stuff. So it's a visual media, but also that I answer more DMs, and that's a greater conduit to our customers as far as being a point of contact than all of our others combined was through Instagram. So that was honestly a pretty significant loss.
Jeff and Mike told me when I first came on that we keep politics out of it.
Politics and religion are places we don't go.
It's two hot spots. You know, you make the wrong person upset, and they're blasting on social media, and before you know it, and I know you've never posted, and I've never posted anything.
No. I think we do a pretty good job of staying out of that, and we truly mean, like, we want to train everybody. Yeah. I mean, we'll train everybody, and we're Mikey from LT Wright said it best. He said we're a training company with a knife problem. Yeah. and we spend a disproportionate amount of our time, I know mine and yours especially, on the training side. But that's kind of what's always been our proof in our Petri dish for our knife design and other products. So to kind of bring it back to what happened, 24 hours, 3 minutes later, everything got blocked. There was an appeals process. I mean, I happened to be sitting in the same hotel room the very next night when everything happened. I got Jeff's a couple rooms down. I got a text from him. He was like, "What's going on with our Facebook account?" I was like, I don't know. I'm just looking at this right now. And everything was dead in the water. Yeah, our account on Instagram was as if it had never been there.
That's crazy.
And so I went through an appeals process immediately. Nothing happened. I got an email. I appealed it. This rocked on for about another week. I got another email, I think on March 1st, that I appealed again. And at that time, we got our company Facebook back and my personal Instagram back. But I had no personal Facebook, no company Instagram. If it had been one or the other, I think it would have been a little easier to understand, this is where the infraction came. But there was none of that.
And that's when you started the Rat Pack podcast Instagram, wasn't it?
So I started pretty quickly. I started a Discord server, which is something I'm completely unfamiliar with, but I had some folks that stepped in and said, hey, this is a way of keeping people on track. I created ESEE Rat Pack podcast. Not just the podcast was already in the works, but I created that Instagram page. I pushed everybody to my personal Instagram, say, hey, this is, and I'm having to be very wary of content. If I had got to the accounts that we got back, if I went and looked in our account status, there was literally no infractions listed anywhere. So I mean, my personal accounts is always been, mostly family and motorcycles and a little bit of gun stuff, but I've shied away from the gun stuff because I know it always, throws flags personally. So yeah, at this point, we've got half of our accounts back, but not the accounts that matter most, really. Yeah. And we still have no reason or no idea why it was pulled. Every email, and this should be a warning to you guys and also something to kind of consider. Every email that I got from Instagram or Facebook was a no reply email. Having really, really dug into this thing as deep as possible, this communication is simply one way. That's where we let our people know. We kind of backed up and punted as best we could.
I know we've talked about it some that were maybe guilty by,
Association. I think.
Some companies will go real hard in the paint.
Oh, yeah.
What they post and stuff to elicit a big response.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if, not naming any companies or anything like that, but don't know if that had something to do with it or not.
Well, I think the deeper I got into this process, the more questions I have about why, and even how they got reinstated, which I'll get to here in a bit. It still makes me scratch my head. Like we say, we stay out of politics, we stay out of religion. I think the one thing I can't control is who follows us, and then what they post. And what they post and what their interests are. And I don't think it would take a super sleuth for people to understand that by and large, our population are freedom-loving patriots, largely. The Made in the USA thing is a big deal to a lot of people. People take their rights seriously. So I know that a lot of people within our followers are big gun people. They're libertarians. They're libertarian in the sense that they want, whatever you want to do, just leave me alone. Yeah. So I think, and this is all just speculation. I think another thing that kind of factors into this and on what we may be targeted, and I'm welcome feedback from anyone at Instagram or Facebook or wherever, is that our engagement with our customers ran 3 to 4 times higher than the norm.
Oh yeah.
And so I was on that thing a lot, and people, we conditioned our customers, or they conditioned me, one or the other, to that became our forum of sorts, our watering hole. Instagram became the collective watering hole, and a lot of good came out of that, for us, and just being that point of contact, that point of reference for people. That was good. I've been talking about doing a video on this, and for those of you that are listening on the podcast, we are actually videoing this, and I'm going to drop that video on our YouTube page. That will be in the show notes. If you're on the YouTube channel, you can actually see us talking, and I'm going to link back to our ESEE Rad Pack podcast, which you may not be aware of. We have about 12 followers, and so we welcome any more. Yeah, I'm stumped by the whole process still. Every time I got ready to throw my hands up, and like I say, this has been going on since February, and it's July 3rd as we record this, which is kind of cool that we're heading into Independence Day. We're back. We're back. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at. We rocked on for about a month and a half with no development. We got half of our accounts back, like we say, not the one that mattered most. And then literally, let me go back to how we began the process. At Campfire Co-op, which is a small group of like-minded folks some of you may have heard of. Basically, we all get together and try to help solve problems or potentially create problems for each other. But it's just a group of like-minded folks with Griffin Pocket Tools and LT Wright Knives and the guys at Wazoo, Georgia Bushcraft, who else? There's several more in there. But we've been getting together now since the beginning of COVID just to discuss social media and to kind of bounce ideas off each other. So it's kind of become our collective brain trust mastermind group where we can bounce ideas off each other. We work collaboratively. We work together a lot. And it's just been something that's been invaluable for us because I think in business, all too often we kind of live on an island. So when you've got somebody you can bounce ideas off of or help back you in a project, it certainly helps. But anyway, we got together and shout out to my boy Dustin at Wazoo. He said, "Hey, look, man, I wouldn't do this for just anybody." He said, "But I have an ex-girlfriend that works for Meta, and she's a recruiter, but she may be able to help. And so I won't say her name, but she is a recruiter for Meta. It has nothing to do with anything that would be in her wheelhouse. Out of the goodness of her heart, she took us on to help out for a little bit, and she was instrumental in us getting our my personal Facebook back. And so now that I got my personal I'd created another account begrudgingly. I hated to do that. Well, then I got my other one account, so I had to kill that other account. I was reinstated. I mean, aside from Instagram, probably the next place where I have the most customer contact is within Facebook groups. You know, we have, ESEE Knives North America, the Colorado, ESEE Knife UK, Australia. So as much as you hate it, and the double-edged swords it brings, Instagram and Facebook are traffic drivers for us. Oh, yeah. Dustin's ex, I'm very grateful for, and she was very helpful for a while. And then when we couldn't get the Instagram account back, let me back up. She was very helpful. She says she submitted some type of internal work order. I still never got to talk to anyone inside the company as far as who handles this. She says, hey, they're going to reinstate your accounts. You just have to do 2 completely new email addresses. And so I did eseeshane@gmail.com for my personal Facebook. And then I did eseeshaneig@gmail.com for my Instagram. Boom. Immediately after, jumping through just a few small hoops, got my personal Facebook page back. I was like, man, this is awesome. Go down the list. I start trying IG, trying to get back on Instagram. I start trying back Instagram, and I'm getting these errors, and it's not working. I was like, why is one not working and the other not working? And then I go to look, and now I had to give this person the emails. She then in turn passed them on to the people internally to fix the problem, which they did on my personal account. Well, somewhere between me and the person that actually did the work, rather than eseeshaneig.com, they added a .conv. They added a V at the end of .com on that IG. And so I'm getting all these errors because it's not the right.
Spelling's important.
Yeah, it matters. And so now what's happening is I'm almost there. But the one account I need the most is our Instagram account back. And so I go back to this person, and I'm sure she just got busy or whatever, and she just went dark on me, and then I just threw my hands up.
Almost.
And I did a podcast with Kevin Estella from Firecraft, and at that point I'm just like, it's gone. We're just going to start over with maybe a slightly different approach to how much time I spend on it or whatever else. But we're started over on the ESEE Rat Pack podcast. I intentionally left knives out of that equation and used a different email address that didn't involve knives, or attributed to the old accounts. And man, that was pretty. I was pretty dejected on that. If I'm going to be very serious, because we had a lot of loyal followers that followed me personally. We had a lot of people that came over to the Rat Pack podcast Instagram. We picked up people on our Discord server, but it was. People still weren't in the know.
Yeah, that's when we started seeing the hashtag "Where's ESEE?"
Yeah, that started. I think I almost think I can attribute that back to the guys at Wazoo, or at least the Campfire Co-op as well. It should bear to mention that in that time that all this happened, there is a leather maker in Texas that had the same thing happen. They lost their account. There is We Knives. Had I think 100 and something thousand followers. Same exact thing. Right. No warning given, no nothing. Boom, they're gone. And so I'm not real sure what the deal was there, but there was a lot of people. We weren't the only ones that were experiencing this that we know of, So after my podcast with Kevin Estella, I talked about doing a video. I was like, it's time. But every time I'd get close to doing a video, I'd have like a little break. Like maybe something's going to happen. Almost. So through all my backdoor channels and trying all this stuff, focus, nothing, no results. And the old adage of it's all in who you know.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have spent countless hours online digging through public records, trying to find contacts on the inside of Instagram, trying to find people within the help desk. I don't know if you've ever experienced this, but it's a nightmare.
Oh yeah.
Because there's no conduit to someone inside. Everything's automated.
It's like trying to find a person to talk to on the phone with Amazon.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's obviously intentionally that they don't want to hear from you in any format other than how they put it out there. But interestingly enough, when I was working with Dustin's ex-girlfriend, and she was actively engaged and trying to help, I was like, can you give me any clue as to what's going on? So oddly enough, when I got we got our company page back on Facebook, I go through I get on Jeff's computer because he's the only admin now. I go through, no reason given, no record of a suspension of that page. By the way, our account status, we're in good standing. I get on my personal Instagram when I got it back. Account status, I'm in good standing. No list of infractions. Like if there's an area in there, you have to dig around to find it where it will tell you infractions or content warnings or anything. Zero, nothing. My personal Facebook, I get it back and I start going back and I start digging through, and then I start seeing infractions of reported posts. And the reported posts are for child pornography. And I hate to even put this out there, but it's important that you listen to this.
Oh yeah.
So, which is honestly probably the worst thing you can be reported for. And I was like, well, number one, that's not going to happen. That's not there. And I start looking, and I was tagged in some pictures by a friend from middle school. And we went on a church trip to the beach years and years and years ago. And it's the 80s. We were prepubescent teenage boy, or early teens at most. We're out there in our OP short shorts on the beach, no shirt,
Man.
barefooted. And the pictures are gone. That's it. That's the only thing. So if you're looking for the smoking gun, and it's pictures of me and my friends on the beach. And that's the only infraction anywhere.
You think that was intentional?
It feels a little bit intentional.
Yeah.
Like I'm trying hard not to be a conspiracy theorist in all this.
That somebody reported intentionally to bring us heat?
I think it's a weird series of circumstances that I signed up for Truth Social, and 24 hours and 3 minutes later, we lost everything attributed to that email, and it came from my account, my personal account, where it was reported as child pornography.
You know when it was reported?
It had to be reported in between the time I signed up and the time everything got taken down.
Yeah.
And yet they gave me that account back, which is, to me, still funny. Mm-hmm. I think it's ironic that someone in the tech field would think that a email address that normally ends in .com would have a V on it. Yeah. That's a pretty, seems like it's kind of autocorrect won't put a V on the end of .com. So there's a lot of things here that, to me, don't pass the smell test. Mm-hmm. The where, the why, at this point, I could care less. It just serves, and I'll be happy to never talk about this again because I have answered the same questions so many times to our folks that are just concerned. Oh, yeah. And they miss us, you know. So as Paul Harvey would say, here's the rest of the story. And this is kind of a funny way that things all kind of melded together. So at this point, I've given up completely on ever getting. And now it just, if I'm being really honest, it just ticks me off even more because I can see that it's up. Yeah. I can get no one to help me.
So you didn't receive any notification or anything like that? You just happened to see that it's back up?
I had people telling me, hey, your thing's back up. And they're congratulating me. It's like, awesome, great, it's up. I can't have no access to it. And they're like, oh, never mind. And they couldn't understand why. But this is not an email that I entered. This is an email I had to pass off that had to get passed down the line or whatever that somebody just misspelled. That's what I'm going to assume. And so my wife's cousin, Josh Hall, who becomes pivotal to this story. This happened last week. He calls me up, and Josh is a super great dude, man. I can't say he's one of my favorites because she has a lot of cousins, but he's up there. Even more so now. Yeah, and he calls me up. He's like, "Hey, Shane, this is how random it gets. My neighbor's granddaughter is staying with him across the street for the summer, and she works at Instagram in the content policing department." She says, "I've helped her pick up my neighbor off the floor numerous times. I may have an in. Do you want me to try?" And I was like, "Absolutely." And so I go back. I talk with Kevin Estella at Fieldcraft in a podcast, and we covered a lot of this. And I'd given up, and I'm like, I just need to go ahead and shoot that video and just put it out there and just just wash your hands of it. So this happened last week, kind of towards the end of last week. I was like, absolutely, man. If there's a string out there, to pull it. And I had even put it out there to everybody. It's like, hey, if you know somebody, just let me know. And man, that place is locked up like Fort Knox, And so he says, can you send me an email and a little bit about what happened? I sent the screenshot of the .conv, email issue, and gave her just a very, very brief. Gave him a very, very brief description. And within 48 hours, I got an email to the appropriate email that I actually have access to, and boom, it's back up. So we have not put another post up. I'm actually thinking on waiting until probably the 4th of July to let people know we're back. I wanted to get this recorded. And so our ESEE Knives Instagram account is back up, and I have full access to it.
Great
Thanks
news.
to Josh Hall and his neighbor. I think her name is, I won't say her name because I don't want to get somebody in trouble. But once again, still that account is in good standing. First thing I did is go to the account status to see if it gives me any list of infractions. None.
Man.
None.
Oh, that's crazy how it all tied in together. And
it's all in who you know and how it happened to work out. So I guess my next decision is what next? And so we're going to, here's what we need our folks to do. So whether you're listening or watching or doing both, what we really need is we need you to turn on notifications, post notifications. I mean, we've been talking about shadow banning and other stuff for 3 years, and I know people thought I was crazy early on, and we see it now that it's actually happening across our entire industry. So if you're following Instagram accounts and you don't see them, go to that account, make it a point to go to that account, and you're going to wind up discovering that
a lot you missed. Yeah.
I had people tell me that they were unfollowed from our account.
Yeah.
I've had people tell us that, I just thought you quit posting. And then they go and they see that we used to post every day, and I started slowing the post down a little bit. We were posting every couple days, and they hadn't seen post in months. So you've got to follow those accounts, make them your close friends, make sure you turn on post notifications, make sure you interact with the accounts that matter most to you, not just ours. Because there is certainly things going on within social media where our account and what we espouse, doesn't necessarily align with the people that hold the keys to the castle.
Well, it always gets lumped in as weapons,
Yeah.
Knives, weapons, and so people automatically think that it's something dangerous, and it could be, but it's a tool. It's just a tool. That's
how we view it, and I think we have a long-standing track record too. Is we value the tools less than we do the knowledge.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And so the tools are great, but the more you know, the less you carry, and the more you rely on skill and experience.
But a lot of our knives are like some companies where you buy one, now I want one bigger, now I want one smaller.
Yeah.
Now they're coming out with a new one, and we love and appreciate that out of everybody.
Absolutely. So we have started a Discord server. I'm gonna continue to. Now there's only so much I can manage, really, and luckily we've got some guys helping us on the Discord server. We have some great moderators on our ESEE Knives forum. Our forum is small. We're very focused. We don't put up with a lot of off-topic banner. We're very much about skill acquisition, people sharing experiences, and it's not a place to go hang out and post questionable photos that you or anybody, you wouldn't want your wife or your kids to see. That's not our forum. If you want to go someplace and learn, ask questions, and get some good information, our forum is there. Our Facebook is back up, and I am back in the same groups, so you can always reach us there. I'm going to continue to maintain, obviously, my personal Instagram page. I'm going to maintain the ESEE Rat Pack podcast page, and then I will be going back to our primary account. But I would encourage you to turn on notifications on all those, because that becomes a bit of a lifeboat.
Well, I'm glad you have to deal with all those and not me.
I keep trying to pull you into it, and you keep fading like Homer Simpson and back into the weeds.
Yeah, well, no part of it.
Yeah. So that's it, folks. That's the long and short of the whole story. I wish I had more detail. I still don't know why it happened or anything, but all we've reported here are just basically the facts and
running around with your shirt off when you were a kid.
Yeah. I thought that was our uniform at the beach. So there we go. Questions, comments?
Nah, I don't have any.
Okay. All right. Hey, folks, listen, thank you for watching and listening. I'm not really entirely sure when this will go live, but a lot of it depends on how much I can get done probably this evening and tomorrow. But more than anything, as we move back into this, we really appreciate, like, I'll be honest with you, I had to mourn the loss of this.
Oh, yeah.
Not so much for the business side of things, is because I have genuinely met some really good people. Mm-hmm. I felt like I personally have done some good for the business by interacting with these people. And I've, like, our crew, we all want to pull our weight, and we all want to stand in the gap and fill the roles that we have to fill. Social media, not the best role for you. No. Teaching friction fire, not my strong suit. But it is important that we all carry our own water to a degree. And I felt like that's someplace where we had raised the antenna for our company. That's someplace where we have gained some notoriety and allowed people outside of our community kind of an easy way to bring their toe in the water and get a feel for who we are and what we're about. And authenticity is something that we're real big about. We don't really put on airs. We are who we are. This is how we dress every day. If you want to know our opinion, normally all you got to do is ask, and sometimes you don't even have to ask. That's just who we are. That's a top-down. Yeah. That's a top-down attitude from Jeff and Mike, and I think that's something that you and I will always shoot straight with you. So that's what our effort here is just kind of give people an idea of what happened. I wish I could wrap this up in a ball and say, here's some lessons learned, but I got nothing. You broke it. Yeah, I broke it, but I fixed it. Be nice to people, because sometimes they can save your bacon. And we're at Knot for Dustin at Wazoo and his ex-girlfriend. She knows who she is. She probably never hear it, but thank you anyway. And then obviously Josh Hall and his neighbor. Without those folks, we'd be completely blacked out on all this stuff and starting over. And that's difficult. I never realized how difficult it is.
Yeah, that would be tough.
So that's all I got. This is the ESEE Rat Pack podcast. We'll have links to this so you can try something new where we're going to record it and also put it on YouTube. Patrick, you want to tell them about it?
Once it gets back up and running, get to posting. We love seeing our knives being used, as everybody knows. So post pictures.
Tag us. Beater ESEE. Just make sure it's a proper beater. And we appreciate what y'all do. Y'all take care.
Thanks a lot.
It's not bad.